Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Finance Junkies. We are here. We are sorry we're 5 minutes late. We got a little technical issues messed up with the link, but we're live. And we're here today to discuss finance, the stock market, and the fact that Vitaly is now bullish on Palantir.
Step one, let's find out why you're a pimp.
It's like, which
Step one.
Who'd you steal that from, bro?
What the fuck is that?
Where did you get that?
I think.
Did you go into your mother's closet
fedora,
and you just picked her mink?
I think this new fedora lifestyle is justifying,
Oh boy.
a little bit new of a.
Yeah. Pan the camera.
style.
Pan the camera. Let me see your bitches.
I think it's nice. You don't think it's especially it's cold in Jersey. It's like
Jeez.
furry and stuff.
You're like a 17-year-old in an identity crisis. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Is that mink? Chinchilla? What is that?
Dude, I don't know. I went into my mom's closet. I was looking for my
I
leather
told
jacket.
you.
He just admitted it. He fucking admits it too. He's just like, that's my mom's closet.
I said that.
I was looking for my leather jacket that I bought on Amazon for $50 last year. I can't find this shit. I know it's in the house somewhere. And I went into my mom's closet. I was like, maybe it'll be there. And then I found this, and I was like, hold on. This is let me show you guys the fit. Let me show you guys this. This is like real sophisticated.
This is too funny.
You know what I mean? Like this is like a fit. It's a shorts, but still, it's a fit. Anyway, let's do this. I got X Premium, and I got roasted today because they have this feature because Elon made AI fun where you can roast people. So we're gonna roast. I'll get to you guys' comments in a second, but we're gonna roast Vitaly. Okay, we're gonna start this. So roast at VR. It's at VR Vitaly, right?
I actually at KRIS Patel.
Yeah, dude, you can do me. I don't care.
At VR Patel, yes.
It's KRIS Patel 99.
Okay, at roast KRIS Patel 99 based on their posts and be vulgar.
Nice.
Okay, let's see what we get.
Extra
here.
vulgar. Let's see that.
Yo, this is such a good feature that they put out.
It's fun. It's fun. I saw. What's his name? Did the same thing.
Marzad.
Yeah. Well, look who we have here. Infamous KRIS Patel.
First of all, you claim to be the Indian Jussie Smollett. But let's be real. You're a wannabe. You're the Indian version of a knockoff designer bag, and you're not even a good knockoff. You're more like a fake Gucci bag being sold on the streets of New York. Let's not forget about your generational dreams. It's cute that you think you can build something on the rotting carcasses of these banks and their investors.
Carcasses,
bro.
These words are fucking with me, yo. Oh my god! On the morning
flash, buddy.
That's a pretty good.
Go ahead, keep reading. Keep reading.
And then there's your wish upon a star post. You're like a Disney princess, but without the charm, beauty, or singing voice. You're more like a Disney villain, but without the intelligence or cunning. You're like a discount Ursula, but
Ursula. Dude. Watch the movies.
Dude, I don't know if I can read, bro. I need to go back to 4th grade or something. And finally, your concerns about the world. You're worried about the world. How can you focus about your little corner of it and leave the rest of us to worry about bigger issues? You're like a mosquito buzzing around, annoying everyone and thinking you're making a difference. This is okay. They could have done a better job, I think.
I like the banks. At least they threw the banks in there. That was good.
They threw the banks.
Vitaly, right,
now you got you or no?
Sure,
Hell yeah.
What it says.
Hell yeah.
I'm down with this.
If I will be very disappointed if there's nothing about Enphase on here.
Well, I've been posting a lot about anti-Semitism. So maybe that's what we'll focus on.
No, I mean, we'll see. Okay, what do we got? Pay $22 a month for this shit, so you got to give us something good.
Yeah, let's see.
You seem to have a love affair with the stock market. I mean, seriously, do you have anything better to do with your time? It's funny because you're doing so much other work than just stock market. And then there's your obsession with Enphase, SolarEdge, and Tesla. I get it. You're a tech bro, but do you have to be so predictable? It's like you're just following the crowd, hoping to make a quick buck. Oh, and let's not forget your little jab at KRIS Patel. It's cute.
Dude, that's good.
AI knows.
Hey, read it.
There you go.
You think you're so much better than him, but let's be real. You're both just a couple of Twitter trolls trying to make yourselves feel important.
That's true. Actually,
And finally, your love of unity. I mean, come
Okay.
on. Do you really think anyone cares about stock picks? It's just like you're trying to show off how much money you have, but in reality, you're probably just a broke college student living in your mom's basement. They got that a little off in terms of the
That's
account.
fine. Keep
for the
going.
mom's
That
basement.
that previous line, the little jab, that was really cute. That was a good one.
That the fact that it knows is actually kind of like shocking, you know. It's funny.
That's hilarious.
Well,
All
no,
right, so that was
you
a
have
little...
it. What about what was the last sentence? I didn't.
The
see
last
it.
sentence was nothing. It was just, it says, so there you have it, Vitaly.
How about you? How about let's just do Carlos right now.
Oh yeah, I did mine on X already.
Sphere, his is Sphere Cubed. I think that's his Twitter handle.
You guys seem to be liking it in the chat, and we're gonna talk about Palantir in a second, but this is hilarious. Okay, so let's do Sphere Cubed. It's gonna have to say some Tesla stuff, I would imagine. Imagine if it says you keep sucking Elon's dick. That would be hilarious.
That's what it should say.
Sphere Cubed.
Sphere _ cubed. Yeah.
All right. What are we gonna say about Carlito?
Quite busy. I'll read it. Well, Sphere Cubed. Looks like you've been a little busy. B, first of all, what's with all the technical jargon and advice? Do you think you're some kind of financial guru or something? Newsflash, buddy. No one cares about your stock picks or your investment strategies. We're here for the entertainment, not financial advice. And then there's your little spat with, damn it, with scroll up, with
move up.
Yeah, with William Legate and Elon Musk. It's cute, yeah. You think you can take on the big dog, but let's be real. You're just a little puppy trying to bark at the big boys. Maybe you should stick to playing fetch and leave the tweeting to the professionals. Oh, and let's not forget your obsession with AI and technology. It's like you're trying to be the next Elon Musk or something. Newsflash, buddy. You're not. You're just a wannabe tech bro with a Twitter account and too much time on your hands. That wasn't that good. I thought Vitaly's and mine was.
It was more.
Yeah, mine was the best. Mine was the absolute best.
Dude, that was awesome.
Mine's was well. You think you're an investor? You got more caps lock than a '90s chat room. That was great.
I
use caps lock all the time. Then it says, let's not forget, Amit decided to share a picture of himself taking a shot to celebrate Palantir stock price. You know what they say: a picture's worth 1,000 words, but in this case, more like 1,000 face palms. You're not at college at a freshman party. Amit knows how to keep it classy. Nothing says I'm an adult and I know what I'm doing, like using all caps and excessive exclamation points. Oh wait, no, it actually screams I'm a toddler who just discovered the caps lock button, and now I'm going to use it to annoy the living daylight out of everyone. That was good. Wasn't bad.
A little mean too. Yeah, I like when it's more funnier.
Wait, all right. While we have it, roast Kelly. I just want to see that.
No, I already roasted her, dude. It was trash.
It
was like I did it. I texted to her. It was like boring. It's not as good as it needs to be. I don't even remember what it said. It wasn't memorable.
Gotcha.
All right, let's get into this topic for the day. Then we got some huge GameStop news we want to talk about. I posted something. Well, Palantir basically said they're reserving 180 jobs for people who feel unsafe at academic institutions due to anti-Semitism. Press release they put out today. And Vitaly, the guy who sold Palantir a long time ago, said, dang, Carp might have finally got me back. This may be the tweet that makes me a Palantir investor. Real quick, the tweet from Palantir says, we are launching an initiative for students who, because of anti-Semitism, fear for their safety on campuses, who need to seek refuge outside of traditional establishments for higher education. They are welcome to join Palantir, and we are setting aside 180 positions for them immediately. This was triggered by the Penn president, Harvard president, and MIT president being asked in Congress, do you think calling for the genocide of Jews goes against the harassment policies of your campus? And they were said, well, it depends on the context. And that video got 100 million views from Bill Ackman. It got a lot of people upset about it. So this is Palantir's response to that video and taking a public stance. Vitaly, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I was actually surprised because, like I wasn't even thinking about Palantir at all, by the way. But the fact that as soon as I read your tweet and I was like, did Carp say this? Did Carp actually talk about this? And I followed the little bit of rabbit hole. You had another video you posted. He was on, what was he on? CNBC, MSNBC? Where was he on? Fox Business. And yeah, he is really standing up for this moronic, anti-Semitic, elitist, a-hole pieces of shit. And I was like, oh my God, we're on the same side. I said, so I'm like, this is something that can change my mind, that look, morality does matter at the end of the day too, besides money, but money also matters. So I am not that against Palantir anymore after today. And that's because Carp, his philosophy, surprisingly, is what sort of, it turned me a bit to Carp's side. as I call it, not the dark side, the carp side. And I didn't buy yet. I just want to be clear. But now I am not as against it as I was, where I just wasn't even looking at it and thinking about it. Because then I watched that video. And in that video, he talks about how well Palantir is doing too.
He said our demand is, he said we can't keep up with the demand for AIP.
Which was, so I thought that was a great interview with him. Besides him needing a comb, which I also tweeted about that. And so there's two benefits here. One, if I do invest in Palantir eventually, these assholes on Twitter can finally get off my back. And every time I mention Tesla, I get the word Palantir. Every time I mention Enphase, I get the word Palantir. Finally, I'll be a Palantir investor. Number two, I could finally, me and you can gang up on KRIS. That was the second. Benefit.
That's the only reason. I don't like. How do
this is actually interesting because I really wouldn't mind another reason to like go back and forth on something. So.
Can you imagine Vitaly defending Palantir when KRIS says it's over?
He's buying it purely out of hate.
Man.
He's like,
I think 50% now hate, not anti-Semitism. But yeah, honestly, like I was pretty surprised that turned me so quick because I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't even thinking about like, oh, should I even look at Palantir again? And the fact that Karp is saying these things that a lot of other CEOs, besides Elon Musk, maybe, and he was claiming that, and Elon Musk was just recently called an anti-Semite, which I don't believe. But I'm saying only like powerful, smart CEOs are actually saying things that are important. And a lot of people are ignoring it. A lot of the elites are ignoring. A lot of the big CEOs are not talking about this. So the fact that he said this is actually important to me.
KRIS, your thoughts on Palantir doing this so publicly?
I mean, it's definitely one of those things that's, I think, will attract a lot of bright students to Palantir who might not have like given it a thought. Because the thing is, there are going to be a lot of smart people who are Jewish, who are going to be saying, you know what, I could get my pick of the litter in terms of job placement at the Googles of the world, the Amazons of the world, the Microsofts of the world, whatever. But I would rather channel my energies into something that makes my situation, mean something in the future. And so I think a lot of bright students who do come from a Jewish background will be attracted to this value proposition. So if you look at a lot of AI researchers, they're also Jewish. A lot of Jewish people are very smart individuals. So, you're not exactly like losing anything by doing something like this, but.
And if you're offended, the thing is, Karp is saying, if you're offended by this, we don't want you. Okay. Yeah. These are important things to say. And I don't hear the Apple CEO saying it. He stands up for his rights in terms of gay rights, but I don't hear him coming out and saying that these elites are being completely moronic, and the things that they're spouting basically in a government building is absolutely idiotic.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. So I think there's a difference between critiquing Israel and the government and then calling for the destruction of the Israeli state. And a lot of what's going on the other side, which is what Karp is saying, is like. And Karp said at the Reagan Defense Forum, he's like, not everything Israel does is perfect. We get it. But the anti-Semitism we're seeing of just saying like Israel shouldn't exist, it's pretty anti-Semitic. So
that's how genocides usually start. The first thing you do is you normalize criticism based on one single object. So, you're just like right now you could say Jews control the world. And so if you don't push back against that, what ends up happening is people just say, well, maybe they do control the world. And then it starts with, man, Jews control the world. And then it starts with, hey, Jews are the reason why we have all the problems, because if they control the world and we have problems, it's the Jews' fault. And then you go right into the Hitler rabbit hole. And then you start saying, hey, we need to blame all of our problems on this particular group. So the question right now is, there is freedom of speech. And dude, I believe in it. But somewhere along the lines, you got to take a stand and say, hey, listen, what you're trying to do right now is rile up an entire population against a certain group of people. And, they could be completely out of the realm of this whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but you're targeting them and you're targeting that subset of people. And that's not the way that you proceed with this.
But Vitaly, let me ask you this. Why do you think the Apple CEO and Google CEO aren't super like gung-ho like Karp is, that this is anti-Semitism? Why didn't the fucking Harvard president say calling for the genocide of Jews is anti-Semitic? Why did they have to be so contextual? What do you think?
Well, let me start with the what three schools was it again? It was Harvard,
MIT, and Penn.
So the problem here is like if you said let's cause a genocide on any group, like let's say we caused it on African Americans, if they actually said that, there would be a crazy uprising with the media and
100%.
everything.
100%.
1,000%. Like it wouldn't even be tolerated. The fact that they're openly saying this, actually, I'm not even a big political guy. You know, on the podcast, I don't even like talking politics. But the fact that they can openly say this and it doesn't do anything to any of the people who are calling for genocide is actually worrying, because I do not want another Nazi Germany. I'm not interested in going to war. I would if I have to, of course, but I'm not interested in that. So it's better right now I say what I feel and the Jews come out and we actually stand up for it right now, as opposed to waiting for something bad to happen. So that's why it's important to stand up right now. The big CEOs like Apple and Google, you know, because they're weak fucking bastards. Honestly, they're weak fucking men. Okay, we keep talking about that, and in this case, it is true. They're too worried about the goddamn dollar, which is important. I'm not saying that it's not. If I was to invest in Palantir, it would be also because they make money. It wouldn't be just absent of that. It wouldn't just be morality. Okay. So they are weak people, and they're going to show how weak they are. I'm not saying no one's going to buy Apple stock, but it's not a good look. It is not a good look to actually not say anything when people are calling for a genocide of a group, any group. Forget about it being Jews. If they said blacks, it would be over. No joke.
And the one thing I just want to mention, I know it's very controversial right now, this whole thing with from the river to the sea, you know, Palestine will be free. I know people keep saying that. It's just, oh, it's just a colloquial term. It doesn't mean anything, blah, blah. It just means that we want independence for the Palestinian people. You know, it starts with something like that. But do you guys know what cut down the tall trees, what that means? Seems very innocuous, right? Have you heard that before? Cut down the tall trees?
No,
never heard of that. Before the Rwandan genocide, that was the trigger on the radio that started the Rwandan genocide, because that meant, because the Tutsis were taller people. So what happened was the Hutus were the ones that committed the genocide. Basically, it was a trigger word that was used on the radio to start the mass executions and the mass genocide of the Tutsi population. So even though it was a very innocuous word, it became the rallying cry by which then people started to kind of, you know, like foment that genocidal behavior. So I know that sometimes it's like, hey, listen, cut down the tall trees. What does that mean? That's like nothing. That's the same thing from the river to the sea. There you go, you know. But once again, these are the kind of rhetoric that becomes normalized, and then people will use that as a way to, you know, cause this. And like I said, once it's in the psyche, dude, the part that always gets me, these motherfuckers are looking at Osama bin Laden's fucking letter to America, where this is a guy that fucking attacked America, and people are justifying that shit.
Dude,
I
think Kanye normalizing it a year ago, honestly, I think gave a lot of people the credibility or the legitimacy to be like, oh, well, if Kanye can say I love Hitler, then I could, you know, it's like he's a cultural figure that a lot of people, and it's sad that we let him as a mainstream figure get that popular and say it, and he had no repercussions for it. No one cares. He's making music right now. Like, everyone's listening. So I agree with you. The fact that he can say I love Hitler and then put out an album, it kind of shows the normalization of anti-Semitism in the United States. And I think Karp and Co. Palantir's the only public company I know of that has been like, fuck this. Anduril's a private company. They said fuck this, and that's it. That's the only thing I can think of. I have no other companies that have come out and said fuck this, and that's sad. That's very, very sad.
Yeah, and I hate getting political. You guys know that. I really don't like talking about this shit, but
yeah,
you can't let this kind of stuff continue. You actually have to say something at some point before it gets to really bad place. I mean, if Harvard students are attacking, imagine like the weakest bunch, people that don't know how to do shit, basically, are attacking another group of people. Like, that is insane to me.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. This one just caught my eye. I texted you guys in the morning. We got to talk about this. GameStop is allowing their CEO to buy stocks with the $900 million they have in cash instead of putting it into short-term bonds like a lot of companies are doing with their cash to get 5%. Ryan Cohen now has the ability to invest for the company. Wedbush analysts put out a report today saying that this is alarming, knowing that GameStop is doing this. Let's start off with Chris. Good idea? You think this is smart? You think this is better than putting your money in a money market fund?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, look, to some degree, GameStop has got to pivot now. I mean, everyone knows where the end story is for this gaming retailer, beloved gaming retailer. Okay, um, everyone used to love GameStop, going there, trading in your old games, buying new ones. But dude, everything is digital now. You just do a digital download. If you want a console, just it gets delivered right to your house. Like the value proposition of GameStop, a physical retail location, day by day. I mean, there's still some utility to it, but day by day, it's getting disrupted. So you need to pivot away from that. And Ryan Cohen is a good capital allocator. The guy's actually been able to wrangle up profits for himself. But if the shareholders of GameStop, they're currently still generating cash flow, that cash flow could be channeled into a lot of other investments that could be very beneficial to them as a whole. I mean, the clearest example of this is Berkshire Hathaway. When Warren Buffett bought Berkshire Hathaway, it was a textile company. It was in a dying business. But, Warren Buffett had to make some really rash decisions. One of the decisions that came down was to sell the company, which, by the way, if you know the story behind Berkshire Hathaway, so the guy that he made an offer to sell the company, reneged and try to get like a better deal by just taking away a little bit. And so he got pissed off by that. Said no, instead, he just took Berkshire Hathaway, took the existing cash flows that it had, pivoted into Geico, and then used Geico's cash flow to build an entire conglomerate that now is Berkshire Hathaway, what we see today. So a lot of times, you need to have these visionary leaders who say, look, the day that this organization, this company, its business model is currently no longer viable, we need to pivot. We need to move in another direction that's going to see us rise back to glory again. And so I think it's a good move. If there's someone that I wouldn't mind giving my money to allocate in terms of capital, and I'd say Ryan Cohen is an opportunist who will make me money. So I'd be okay with it.
Maybe you can give us some context, because what is his background besides GameStop?
He's done a lot of, I don't want to call it distressed investing, but basically what he will do is go into companies, and he's a turnaround guy. Like, he finds companies, like his claim to fame is mostly Chewy, which is an online pet food retailer he was able to like make into a much more profitable business. At one point he bought into Bed Bath and Beyond. A lot of people got their hopes up, but management didn't want to do what he was asking. And so he bailed on them. I mean, he dumped on all these retail shareholders. Don't get me wrong. The guy is a ruthless, asshole. But if you're giving him money, he's your ruthless asshole, right? So that's one of the things. So yeah, that's the story behind Ryan Cohen.
So the question is, are you saying the plan is then to take the money that GameStop has and start to slowly pivot away from selling games to people and do something else with it, like buy other businesses, or just stop?
Yeah, no, buy other businesses.
Buy other businesses. Own and control other businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. It depends, right? So some things are worth just buying equity in and letting the equity grow. And then the other hand, it could be something along the lines of buying an entire business and then redeveloping the business under the GameStop brand, like a giant conglomerate. I mean, this has happened multiple times throughout history. If I was just reading about all the pivots that happened within companies, like if you guys know, like I'll give you some really good examples. Let me just look it up real quick, because
in terms of GameStop, it is a dying business. And look, I actually go into GameStops and I buy games. Okay. And I bring my kids with me, and they'll ask me for a game. But when they're at home, they're not asking to go to GameStop.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've been at many GameStops because I just love games. I even love looking at the boxes. Okay. I'm so old. I just like holding the digital, the CD in my hand. But all the time, these GameStops are empty as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like there's one or two people that are looking for stuff. And so I don't know how they're still in business. That's really shocking. I wonder if COVID saved them, because the stock ran up.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to raise a ton of equity and stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
See, they have cash and they don't have debt. That was like the perfect combination. And it's funny that we mentioned that, because this is something that actually I spoke to Amit about when it came to Audia. Amit, do you want to tell them?
So I wouldn't do this, but you said to take some of the cash and put it into SLG when it was at $19. Now it's at $40. And I was like, I trust your investment thesis, but I don't want to gamble with money that I raised for a startup to put into the market, which is what he's doing, even if it's strategically, investing.
My thing was, Amit has a pool of capital that he was able to raise for Audia. Now, Audia has operating costs that are going to be eating away at that main capital that he has. Now, the thing is, it'll give him a certain point of runway in order to make the business work. But if it doesn't work, what ends up happening is you need to have some cash flow coming in outside of your main product that's going to be able to float you so that this way you can keep extending that runway out. So SLG was super undervalued, but what's more interesting is that they had a giant dividend that was being paid at the time, right? And it's still being 16%. It's still being paid, and it's being paid on a monthly basis. So that would have covered all of the operational costs that you would have had.
But the perception of taking money and dropping it into the market, that's where I was like, Chris, I don't think I should do this.
Chris,
I mean, the other thing that I said too was just put it into some short-term treasuries so that this way you'll actually get some better return.
And you still
instead of just sitting on cash.
But when you said SLG, I was like, what if SLG fucking fails? Like, and all that money.
True. That's true.
So that's why I'm saying, like, that's why even when you suggested it, I was like, it makes sense, but there's no way in hell I could ever do that.
Chris, I'll give you a perfect scenario. I know you're telling AMIT, but I have investors in real estate, Carlos being one of them. Imagine I took the money and like put it into some stock, and that stock didn't do well. All of a sudden, the operating cash for the business that everybody put in, you know, maybe it'll recover. Yeah, obviously, but I still need to operate my business. That's not going to help me. The recovery is not going to help. So the treasury thing makes a lot of sense, but the other way is very dangerous, and I would never do that with business money.
Well, like I said, it's one of those things that you just have to take into consideration.
But why do you think GameStop's allowing him to do this? Do you think they trust his allocation skills and that's it?
Yeah, because they know that the day is coming where GameStop will no longer be a feasible business. So if you don't pivot now, it's either you die 3 years from now or you try to take a chance on something so that this way you can survive long term. Like, imagine right now you have money for Audia, right? It's not generating you that much revenue, and if anything, by year 3 you're going to be out completely, in which case then investors lose everything. So the question for you is, hey, do I either pivot into a different business model? Do I return that capital that's there to shareholders?
Right.
Or do I try to take the capital that's existing, build something else on the side to keep my original idea going? You know what I mean? That's
so you're saying GameStop is saying, all right, we're fucked as a business. Take $1 billion, Ryan Cohen, invest it for us. But how does that save the GameStop business? How's that good for shareholders?
No. Look, so GameStop is different than like Audia. We're bringing up Audia is trying to make it and growing users, and it's on the up. Even if it's a slow up, it's on the up. GameStop is on a clear down, right? Yeah. So if it's on a clear down, he has to use the money and allocate it in a different way. But even then, he got board approval to do it. He didn't just do it willy nilly.
Yeah, everyone approved it. That's the other thing too. Like, you would need investor approval. So that was the other thing. And I think it's not like, so I'm not, so I would say yes, but Vitaly says no. But
I have more shares than Chris, I believe. I invested more money.
He does. So, but the point is, you would have to go through your ownership stake, look at who your people are, and find out, like, okay, do the shareholders value this idea more than that? So right now, GameStop, because of his board of directors, are behind Ryan Cohen. They're allowed to make that decision. So right now, technically speaking, even right now, like who's on your board of directors, Amit? Who's on your board?
Me and my CTO.
So right. So you two are the only real people that are needed to make that decision. The rest of us
the rest of us would class action lawsuit against the
because I just feel
what would be the basis? Hold on. What would be the basis of your class action lawsuit?
No, let's say I took your money. Let's say I took your money and I put it into
my money to invest it in a business.
Exactly. Vitaly invested to. I gave him a vision. I gave you a vision, Chris, and you're like, okay, we'll take a chance on the vision. If I say I'm working on the vision, but I'm taking your capital and I'm throwing it into Palantir at 7, and let's say it does really well, even then I still feel that the fact that it could have went to 0 or Palantir could have been fucked for what, like the capital was used for something that wasn't the vision.
Even if it went to 6, all of a sudden you're locked into that thing.
Right.
And to take any money out, you're at a loss if you needed to operate the business. That's the problem.
Right. Well,
to give Chris's point is like, what if you don't need that money to operate on the business? My point is still legally, you're at a loss on capital that if Audia fails, and that's the risk you guys take. But if Palantir fails with Audia money, that's
not the risk I wanted to take.
That's not the risk you took, right?
No. Well, here's the thing: you would have to the one difference between doing what I'm saying versus SBF and stuff like that is that SBF didn't disclose that he was taking investor money and putting it into different things. You would actually have to disclose it to your investors saying, look, guys, we are pivoting. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Right. And then
idea is failing.
the
Guys, we are buying.
I'm taking the money, I'm putting it into SLG. Commercial real estate is the future.
No, but just think about what.
Then I could have bought a REIT. What the fuck am I paying you for?
That's the funniest thing, bro. If I take investor money and I put it into stock market, they're like, why didn't we just invest in it? We invested in you for fucking 100x if this thing actually works. We didn't invest in Palantir.
But that's the point, that's the wrong way of thinking, because if you use that logic, there would be no Berkshire Hathaway today. There would be no Berkshire Hathaway. All of Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, which are filthy rich right now, they would be zero. All right. That's the difference. So
well,
at the end of the day,
let me give you something a little bit more in line what Berkshire did. Warren went and bought an actual business that he then operated or put people to operate. If Audio went and purchased a competitor that was bigger than them, but they're failing, and he got it for like 10 cents on the dollar, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, shit, that makes total sense.
That's a good point.
He's now incorporating other companies like him and growing bigger and becoming the only audio platform. Like, that makes a lot of sense. That's part of the business, you know?
Yeah, like I said, to me, it's
like
about
FLG.
no. Look,
dude, your logic made sense. I just felt like really, even if I disclose, I don't think I would ever be able to do that, because that's not the reason.
Well, now you have to worry about this other thing, you know? So
yeah, now I have to worry about the fucking stock market and hope hope there's not a pandemic again, right? Like, that's where
mentally,
it gets
mentally it's
mental, you know?
Yeah.
Even though you have a good point.
Yeah, I'm not saying you wouldn't make money. So some things are obvious. Like, so when Verizon is at $30, you know Verizon's going up, even if it's $2. You know what's happening. It doesn't matter. You don't take investors' money and gamble them. You just don't.
Because here's the thing. If I raised money to start a fund and I'm like, hey guys, Verizon's undervalued, they would be like, yeah, we gave you money to invest in stock.
Go ahead, do what you gotta do.
Right, do what you got to do. That's what KRIS is going to do one day. We're going to give him some money. Maybe Vitaly might give him a little money. I'm going to give him some money.
I gave you money, and I was promised nothing. So I'll give
KRIS will do this one day, and KRIS will make the best decisions, and we will trust him. But me, I didn't promise I would be allocating in the stock market. I'm trying to take a dream and make it real, right?
Yeah.
So do you think GameStop actually goes under soon? Like, what do you think happens to the company?
I'm surprised they're not under right now. It's crazy.
These are their results. They lost $3 million last quarter, and they had like $1 billion in sales.
You know, one thing I've learned in the stock market, it takes companies a really long time to die. It's kind of shocking, but it takes a really long time to actually be delisted, get the fuck out. Look at all these stocks trading at like $1, still there. They're doing reverse splits. They're doing whatever they can to hold on. And it's like years and years of dragging out the death. So this is what's happening here.
This is one of the downsides of index investing, in that you keep getting this flow of shareholder money back and forth. And then retail investors are also another giant thing. Normally you'd have short sellers shorting the shit out of these companies and then causing these companies to massively fail and die, in which case the shorts would get out. Now, anytime anyone hears like, oh, there's a short attack on this small company, let's bid up the crap out of this company. The stock price goes to the moon. And then the board just basically issues a fuck ton of shares, and there you go, gives them another 2 years, 3 years worth of lifeline, you know? So it's one of those things. The other thing is, there was a lot of cheap capital that was available for the last 10 years. So a lot of these companies, they have debt, but there's debt is like very, very cheap for them. The question is, how are they going to survive? So a lot of people right now are kind of like jumping into the small cap names. I don't know if you guys seen that.
The call volume on the Russell 2000 it's crazy.
Yeah, and so it's crazy because not every company in the Russell 2000 is a profitable company. Like, there are really, really good small cap companies, but I told you guys in our chat, there's about 50% of companies in the Russell that are just fucking zombie companies that don't have enough money. They don't make enough money to justify the valuation, but more than that, they don't have enough money to pay their own debts. The next maturity wall, the minute that shows up. Luckily for them, interest rates were so low, the maturities were pushed out really far. So right now, they're basically operating for the benefit of their executives, and that's it.
Okay, let's move on to this. AMD up 10% in a day. Lisa Su, competitor to NVIDIA's big chip or core chip. Market liked it. Any thoughts on AMD as a semiconductor play? 10x less the valuation than NVIDIA. It is more expensive on a PE basis, 44 versus 37. At all? Well, I know Vitaly. I know your story with AMD. I forgot you owned it.
I had it at $2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I see the price, I cry.
Would you ever buy it again? That's the question.
I did actually. I bought it, I think again for 40 or 50 bucks and rode it to, I think $70, somewhere around there, and then got out again. You just, never get out of great companies. So I don't mind going back in, by the way, because if the story's continuing, the story's continuing. I just don't think my opportunity is right now.
Okay. Chris, would you ever get back into AMD or ever invest in AMD?
I had AMD bonds at one point. I don't know if you guys know. So AMD's bonds, when Lisa Su took over, they were trading at around 10 to 15 cents per, like face value 100. They're trading at like 10 cents to the dollar. So I had those, and I thought I was smart because I got a 10x return on those bonds. But if I had just bought the shares instead of the bonds, I would have right now been retired on an island somewhere. But I'm sure that Vitaly will mention that Chris never really holds anything that long term. So whatever island that he would have been on would have been a 2-week vacation.
Well, listen, I made the same mistake. I bought it at $2 and sold it at $2.50 the first time. And my thesis was intact. My thesis was that AMD was going to compete against NVIDIA and Intel and make chips and the graphics cards, and they were going to be an Xbox. My thesis was correct. It's just I didn't wait. I saw my 50-cent rise and I took my profits, made my 50%, right? Or whatever it was, 20%, whatever the hell it was.
It was a much weaker. It was a much weaker company back then too. So it wasn't
but the thesis was the same. Like it was if they execute, this will happen, right? So I should have just waited it out and let it play out. And my initial buy was 12,000. Was it $12,000 or 12,000 shares? I forget. It could have been 12,000 shares. I'm forgetting right now. It's been a while, obviously.
It was back then. I didn't have that much money, so it was only like $2,000 in bonds, distressed bonds.
Right. No. I did a decent amount of my back then. It was a decent bet that I made, and like so stupid not to hold that bet. Like honestly, and that's why I keep saying like when I have a bet that I actually believe in, the conviction is important. I don't will go willy nilly on it anymore. It's like either it's going to fail or it's going to do what I say.
So one of the things is, I think we saw Google rise today and we saw AMD rise today, which basically highlights one thing. AI is not a monopoly scenario. Like there are going to be multiple winners that come out of this. And so in order for you to capitalize, you don't have to just look at NVIDIA, which is the market leader, to make money. You can invest in a healthy number 2 and make money. You can invest in Google, which is a healthy number 2 to Microsoft's OpenAI, and still make money. And especially if the value... Amazon, especially if the valuation is so low, that means that you have this huge margin of safety versus investing in the Microsoft, which, is still good, but you don't have that margin of safety because the valuation is already built in. So if you look at the valuation of Microsoft right now, how many trillion dollars is Microsoft right now?
2.89.
Wow.
2.89 trillion. And then what's Google's right now? It's like 1.64.
Yeah.
So you're paying almost $1 trillion plus for Microsoft. And if you look at it on a cash flow basis, they're not that far off from each other.
Nope.
Even from a growth perspective, they're not that far off from each other. The difference is people are willing to pay more for Microsoft because of the potential of AI that's coming from Microsoft and the money that they're going to be able to make off of OpenAI. But Google, on the other hand, people are saying, oh, they have a dying business model. Well, they just released a product that looks like, hey, they might actually be able to capitalize on this AI trend and actually not die, and
did we ever think they were not going to capitalize on it though? It's so funny seeing this happen. Like,
yes. I'll be honest. I thought that their AI development would be plagued with issues all throughout its thing, and they may not be able to catch up to OpenAI
because of the woke stuff, or what was the reason?
Yeah, because of the culture. Because of culture, and basically they kept pushing shit back too. Like it does not inspire confidence when you say we're gonna have a fully released product in November, and then November comes around, and you're like, hey guys, sorry, it's gonna be March. It makes you think like, hey, that means that you can't even live up to your own price targets, or you can't live up to your own product release targets. Like, think about it this way, even with Palantir. Did it make you feel good when Palantir said we'll hit 30% growth quarter over quarter? I mean, year over year all the time, and then that shit dips to 12.
No,
You know, that
was not good.
requires an entire thesis reset.
That was
you
not
know?
good. That was
Yeah,
not nice.
but see, here's the thing: once they reaccelerate back to above 30%, then it's like, oh, you know, there you go. We're back to being normal again. So that's the opportunity in the market where when the company moves in the wrong direction, you know, you value it based on that. But when they move into the right direction, you value it based on that. So that's why I was buying Google yesterday when I saw the product and I read up on its issues. So you know.
Bring up OBG4. That is the correct quote. Microsoft has a better business in terms of, look, it's mostly commercial. It's not gonna go up and down, not a lot at least. People are gonna keep paying their enterprise payments. How are you gonna say one day I want Word and all that shit, and then the next day I don't? No, it's just part of the corporate infrastructure. So Google is not quite there, even though they have that sort of enterprise business developing. So I think that's why the valuation is different. It's not just the cash flows. It's which kind of cash flows. Some are better than others, right?
Here's a question for you guys as Google investors. Do you think there's any other revenue stream Google could come up with besides search, which is 95%? I know this AI stuff and developers will use their API, but is there anything else that they could do that we're not thinking of that just smashes investor expectations in terms of a new revenue stream like Microsoft has done the past 2 years?
I don't think they have
to. Yeah.
Hold on. I don't think they have to, because search is so important to everything we do. And if it's integrated with these AI tools and these AI assistants, that's a killer feature. So the Android phone, all of this if it's all part of it, all part of Google, and they still get that ad money somehow, I don't think they have to actually diversify into anything else.
Yeah, and there are also other aspects to it as well, which is GCP. GCP is a very underlying, like it's last quarter, it only missed by like 200 million in revenue growth, but it's growing. You know, that is a new business for them that now is operating cash flow positive, that's still growing. So it's a new industry that's there. Then you have Waymo. You have a lot of intangible companies within the Alphabet ecosystem that people don't necessarily give a lot of credit to, but they could one day become really big companies of themselves. They also have their Google investing arm that has stakes in things like SpaceX, GitLab.
Yeah.
You know, these are all run off of Google. So just keep that in mind that, hey, this is not just a one trick pony that this is only search. Like they do generate.
Don't they own 10% of SpaceX? Is that true?
They own, I don't know how much percentage, but it's quite a bit that I remember back in the day.
I'm saying, but SpaceX, imagine if, you know, that's worth a couple of trillion 1 year. So that could be a massive business for them too. Yes.
Yeah,
Starlink, right?
Yeah, they have 10%. Well, this was in 2016.
Well, they didn't sell it.
Google Ventures, they put $1 billion. They had 7.5%. Yeah, they got 7-8% in this bitch. They got some money in here.
That's a good sizable position.
And SpaceX is raising at 175 billion now. That came out 2 days ago. The news up from like 150. So.
But I think, yeah, you guys, yes, I actually agree with the side bets, and I'm glad they're doing them, by the way. You're supposed to spend on side bets in order to keep growing as a tech company, because if you stagnate, you die as a tech company. You have to keep inventing yourself. But I'm telling you, these AI tools, search itself is still the massive business that it's going to be continuing for the next 50 years. We don't need another massive business. We just need Google to own it if we are investors in Google, you know?
And the other thing is the share price can be materially different than the company's actual performance, because if you look at how share buybacks work, the value of your market cap can stay the same exact thing, but your share price can go absolutely bananas. And they're right now buying back about 70 to 80 billion dollars because they have a shit ton of cash flow, 70 to 80 billion dollars a year in shares. They're buying those back.
Yeah.
So even if they stay flat, if you stay flat and your revenue does not grow, you're still going to be generating a ton of share price appreciation. But Google is actually doing both. Their earnings is going up via their revenue is increasing, their operating margins are increasing, and they're doing share buybacks. So I think $200 on Google is like a no-brainer to me in the next.
It's going to happen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're all 3 in Google. So when Google goes up,
you're in Google.
Yeah. By the way, look
Google.
at another person. Look at another person that did the thing, MSTR with Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor, remember, MSTR did not start off as a Bitcoin company. They were a software-focused company that was generating most of their money on providing enterprise software But Michael Saylor, being the CEO, said, no, we need to pivot into Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin is 5 times what MicroStrategy was worth before they started investing in Bitcoin.
Damn.
So
he's up $2 billion in profits on Bitcoin, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But once
Go
again,
ahead, sue him for moving away from software. Go ahead.
to differentiate it from Odia, look, he actually has a net income. It's coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He also
So
leveraged, collateralized the business to do this, and he
Yes.
almost got margin called at 15K.
Yeah.
So he
He
took
was
a
very
big ass
close.
risk, man.
Imagine Bitcoin fell to like 12, which it could have done, and then
it spikes to 40, and hit all of his Bitcoin. Like, dude, that would have. How do you think he would have lived that down? Like,
it would have been crazy. And I actually thought I thought the capitulation would come in Bitcoin when Michael Saylor got margin called, and so I guess my thesis on that is wrong because he didn't, and he's doing just fine.
All right, let's end the pod here on this final topic. Chris, you asked the pod, or you asked Twitter, should you get a Cybertruck or save up for retirement? So, people said buy the Cybertruck, and then you came out and did the most good you thing ever and said, I'm only going to buy a Cybertruck after it's an old, washed-up car. So go ahead, explain your
20 years.
No, I would only buy it probably 2 to 3 years out. You know, that's what I do in most of my cars. If I buy a car, I will buy a really good quality car, but I'll wait a couple of years, you know, let all the kinks get worked out. But I will always make sure the thing is properly inspected, go through all the things, you know, has a certain level of warranty from the dealer if I get it from a dealer. You know, has a clean VIN, make sure I do the inspections necessary.
So how is your Ford Fiesta? You like it?
No, I don't have a Ford Fiesta. No. But no, it's just, it makes more sense because if you think about traditional cars, and some people brought out some really interesting points that EVs don't depreciate at the same rate, which could be true, especially for a brand new market segment company like car like a Cybertruck. But for the most part, they depreciate about 15% per year. I mean, the minute you take it off the lot, it's like going to lose about 15% of its value right away. Mm-hmm. So for a used car, 15%, especially from its full value, it's a significant amount. So imagine $100,000 car. I was just doing the math real quick. Hold on one second. Let me just bring up on a calculator. So let's say you have $100,000.
85 grand it's worth the minute you walk out of the door.
So the minute you put it out the door, it's 85 grand. And then the year after that, multiply that again by 0.85, that's 39,000. And one more year, it's worth about 61,000. So about 39%, almost 40% of the value within 3 years is gone. But most of the technology is still pretty new, you know? So if you think about it, you're getting a 40% discount. You're getting all the kinks worked out. Because I mean, I imagine the first generation of Cybertrucks is going to have issues. You know, you're going to be taking that thing to the fucking dealership all
enough
the time.
to not want to buy it the first generation.
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
never buy the first iteration of anything. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, because you're basically a fucking beta tester.
Yeah,
every issue that's there, the company is these are things that the companies can't test for. Because I mean, it's just not part of their thing. So you will be the beta tester basically, especially in a completely new category, which is what the Tesla Cybertruck is.
I agree. Cars are not investments. Cars are just meant to get you from point A to point B. But don't get me wrong, if you're rich enough, Chris, so if you make enough money on your calls or spreads or whatever, and you bought yourself a new car, yes, you've lost a little bit investing power, but I don't think it'll affect your life in the least. So it depends what position you are in. If you're just starting out and you're buying brand new cars and you're paying $1,000 a month, which is ridiculous.
You're muted, Brody.
But if you're paying $1,000 for your interest,
I just want to make something very clear. I don't have just spreads and calls. Okay, I'm a real investor. I do invest in stocks. I invest in bonds. I invest in
no. You're missing what I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying.
One thing you said, and he was just like,
it's just like
I was agreeing with you. I was agreeing with you.
You like
like when I was trying to give Chris credit 2 days ago, and Chris was like, no, AMIT.
No, I was agreeing with you. By the way, I'm saying cars, first of all, are a waste of money in most cases. And even though I bought the brand new Tesla and spent too much money, it's 3 months later, it's $20,000 less, by the way, 3 months. So absolutely. Cars are they're never an investment. It's always a waste of money, but it depends what position in life you are. And what I was saying is you're doing well enough that you can afford a nice car for yourself and it won't hurt you at all. Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I just
so
want to
Chris,
make that clear because no, it's the reason why I have to make it clear is because some people think I'm like a degenerate, just go and buy a ton of
hold on,
calls and
Chris.
that's
Chris,
it.
what
Yeah.
stock are you actually long on?
Yeah,
Like,
name
you
I have ton. I have ton. American Tower, Crown Castle, Verizon. I
but
have
like long
plenty of
means 5
shares.
years.
Okay,
not
okay, okay,
like-
okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
wait. I got a way to
those
settle
are-
this.
Yeah.
My number one position is Tesla, meaning
Mhm.
just an amount of cash and shares. No
Yeah.
calls, no spreads. What's your number one position? The share,
Verizon.
or yeah, but is it in spreads or is it in shares?
No, it's in shares. Verizon. I have
Oh,
almost.
okay.
I'm not going to disclose how many shares I have, but I have a
know, you
lot
have
of shares
You
of
have a lot.
Verizon.
I know.
I've
Okay,
shown
so you
you
got
guys,
shares
so,
though. Okay,
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
No, that's good. You got
I have
the
shares in
shares.
SL. Look, I have shares in SLG because a lot of these things are dividend paying companies that generate me cash flow that I can then use to do other things with, invest in other things.
Like buy a
By the way,
Cybertruck.
my wife's
buy yourself a
portfolio, majority
Cybertruck.
of it is an index. It's an index funds. My entire retirement portfolio is an index funds. Like I told you guys, I have a ton of index funds too.
Could you guys
So I
ever
don't risk the house
imagine
in money
someone
like
else
that.
managing your money? Could you ever imagine
I
that?
can imagine it. I can
No.
imagine
Would
it.
you
Yeah.
let that happen? Would you go to JP Morgan and say, "Hey, take my 500 grand and manage it"?
I mean, that's what
I
you're
feel like
doing when
knowing
you're
you guys,
investing
you
in an
wouldn't do that.
index. But no, if you're investing in an index fund, that's what you're doing.
No, but that's different. I'm
If
talking
you're
about going to an asset manager and saying, "Get me a better return than the index." I feel like you guys would want to do that yourself versus give it to a money
Look,
manager.
No.
if we didn't spend all this time researching the companies we enjoy to research, then yes, I would say it could be worth going to someone who can manage your money. But I feel they won't do any better than I can do, and I've done pretty well.
Yeah.
So I just don't think they'll do better than me because I actually spend all day long researching the things I like. You know?
Yeah.
No, I mean, there will be a point in my life where I don't want to actively look for opportunities and stuff, in which case I'll either do index or I'll go to a wealth manager that actually has experience on the private deals and then do deals with that. So I was talking to some people about you can have private deals also. Like I have a ton of people reaching out to me for private like deals with hotels and stuff to say, hey, listen, you provide me this capital, I'll do the hotel, you get a piece of the ownership of it. These are not things that are on the stock market, but this is how, I mean, I don't know, this is how good Jews work, by the way. Good Jews, we give money to each other.
Did you say
We
good
invest in-
Jews?
Good Jews, like Gujaratis. We invest in businesses. Like, so when you see like a Patel at a motel, most of the time that money didn't just come from that person. They don't own everything. What they do is they work in partnership with each other to say, hey, lend me this much money. I will give you ownership equity and then we'll grow this business together. And so that's what we do, you know? So.
All right. That's it for the end of the week. It's Thursday, right? Got Friday tomorrow. You guys got any weekend plans? Do anything over the weekend?
I think I told you I'm working first of all, but then I'm traveling
yeah,
to Savannah. So if anyone's in Savannah, hit me up.
Is that near Atlanta at all, Savannah, or no?
He said it's like three
It's about 3.5, 4 hour drive.
and then going to Nashville after that. So there you go. That's my trip.
So Vitaly's going on a tour. If anyone who's not a crazy person, hit him up on Twitter. You guys can get some lunch. It'll be on the Finance Junkies. We can cover it. And yeah. All right. That's it for us. Do I have any plans? Nope. I'm not doing shit. I'm working at home literally all weekend. I think that's it for us. We'll be back on Sunday night. Carlos will be here. Carlos gonna be here today. He had work Sunday night. And yeah. Been a fun week.
And before we go, just hit like and subscribe if you haven't. I don't know what we have right now, but that'd be good. Thank you.
Yo, we need Carlos to do this stuff, bro. Carlos is like, he does the seductive like and subscribe. So yes, like and subscribe. We'll see you guys Sunday. Appreciate everybody. I think like 400 people were here every single night, which is amazing. And we'll be back on Sunday. Keep it going from there.
All right.
Later, guys.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.